Welcome back to Cannabis Canada. Okay, this time I'm sitting in here with Rej and Jay. Again, I don't know why I can't remember somebody with my own name, other than the fact that it's been a hell of a long 48 hours and it's now 10 to 8 o'clock at night. So, you know, I've been able to rally a bunch of people that were there and were directly involved with some of the engagement with the police early in the morning right on till the arrest took place. Welcome to the show, Rej, otherwise known as a representative for Budzilla, and Jay, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Now, you guys really were down there, and you know, we have footage. Now, Dan Dix for Press for Truth, check it out, pressfortruth.ca. They got some amazing stuff. Dan got some great footage of exactly what happened during the arrest. Explain to my viewers what it was that you were doing, especially maybe that instead of starting with Rej, because you're more of an old-timer like me, let's start with Jay. Well, what were you doing? Why did you do what you did?
You know, I seen them gather their troops there and tackle Neil. For no apparent reason, I feel we should be there. We're causing no due harm. And to tackle him like that was unnecessary. Therefore, I looked at my big guy here and we linked arms in a non-violent fashion. Linked arms with our other guy. And we went for hug power.
Hug power, that's it.
We went to go get hug power and VPD intercepted. Would not let us hug.
Yeah.
So
we've got footage where actually you did hug, and you know, at first we can see where you were trying to get in and clearly trying to get a hold of somebody's foot or ankle. This is what people gotta understand. Hug power is about grabbing a hold of anything you can, or at least locking your arms. The reason for locking your arms is to be in a aggressive fashion, a non-way that the officers can say they felt they were endangered. And when you're locked arms like this and they go ahead and they hit you with pepper spray, I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, but maybe the BC Civil Liberties people can look into that kind of stuff. Question is, why couldn't 70 officers pull 20 people apart?
The beauty of the situation, and I think that the VPD was shocked, was that it seemed almost like we were a bit more organized than they were. And just so we're clear on what the tactic is, you're supposed to make a line in front of whoever's getting arrested. This is true hug power, old school. You make a forward line, and then your second line in the back comes in through your feet and then either hugs your feet or whatever for reinforcement, or the person that's getting arrested in front of the first line. So what happened was we basically didn't have any reinforcements as opposed to what we should have had. Actually, we had the public behind us. At that point, we were sort of being pushed around from the back. This is all in the video, and also being pushed from the front. Now, before I was able to get my footing, right, and to sort of get back up because I was getting pushed down by police, basically we were in this sort of line, sort of in a, I guess, tug of war, but opposites, right? Pushing each other's in a rugby line, like Neil said, right? Really intense, absolutely unnecessary. We were there to be in a non-violent fashion. At that given moment, it was so intense that my feeling was, wow, what happens if the crowd of 100 people behind us start pushing through our line, right? There was only 20 officers, and this is a serious thing because we were being assaulted. We were feeling that threat. It was imminent. It was there. It was present.
All day.
Right.
Just in the morning time, I mean, we have footage of this, and this will be out there where, you know, I said to the police, they're walking around with their camera and coming through what I used to call the perimeter lines. And we know that once in a while they used to walk through very casually before. But they wouldn't come in with a camera and put people at different station posts and try and intimidate people not to set up, not to do anything. And I said, you're provoking this. And we warned them. I warned them in a blog before the day even happened, that you cannot stop this. You can't ask the leadership 15 days out to stop it. And even if you did, ask us 3 months out, I don't think you can stop it, you know, unless we have another place to go and it's done in a reasonable and adult-like manner and not putting a serious. I'm so glad that things didn't turn the other way around. You know, I'm so glad that there wasn't 5,000 people and it turned into a riot and police brought in all their dogs. I really don't like how they provocated, and I'm still upset about this. I was ranting at them there, and I'm kind of still upset, as everybody is, because we warned them. They were already provocating this issue, and now it led to arrests, and they bring in all their bullies. They had surrounded that place and had paddy wagons on standby. We seen them when we came in.
Yeah, it was an organized effort. It was almost like it was rehearsed. It was almost like it was funded from not the VPD.
This is a big part. Now, Neil and I asked about this. Who funded it?
Who
funded all these officers?
That should be asked about this, you know. And the thing about it is we feel that even in the media, we're being prosecuted. People are sort of looking at us in a way that, you know, potheads are not supposed to be violent and that kind of thing. First of all, we were not violent. We were not arrested because we were not violent. Maybe at that time the police realized that we were holding back what was behind us, you know. I don't know really, but I know I ate a whole lot of mace and it was very unpleasant.
I know, I've had my share.
You know, I mean, it was excessive. On tape was pressed on, I guess, if you want to call it a shove or whatever. They were trying to push me back, but the thing about it is there's people behind me pushing me forward, right? And I was clearly telling them this is on tape as well. They're pushing me, right? So it's like I'm just trying to get my footing at this point, and we're all interlocking and, you know, sort of trying to organize, and it didn't even get anywhere because these guys got extremely violent, extremely fast to, you know, people that are non-violent.
And I brought this up in a previous interview, and I'd like to touch on this again, knowing that we were not violent, and they continue to push us. They've been posturing and doing stuff that have been infuriating, fencing off the back, not opening the streets, and trying to force people not to do something. And then when passive civil disobedience and passive resistance is implied, why use mace? Out of all those officers, like you just said, of all these officers, there was only how many people?
Well, here's the thing, okay? Let's set the scene. There was confrontations from 6 a.m. onwards. My staff was there. I showed up at 11. That's when things really started to escalate really fast because that's when everybody started setting up their tents. There was, for maybe half an hour, a lot of intimidation. You know, there was some cameras that were being shoved in people's faces. There was police officers standing at individual tables, you know, not saying anything but just glaring at my staff members. There was non-communication. You know, we didn't even know that we were not even supposed to be setting up booths, that we ourselves...
I did, and I still set it up. I freaking knew.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, it's not your fault either that the communication wasn't made. I mean, really, this is a grassroots get-together, and we're there to protest, right?
Well, it's not a protest. It's actually, it's really, from the day one, it's been a constitutional, you know, really a gathering, if you have it, the way the government would prefer that we word it. That's the problem. When people come out and say protest, you would be saying, like, here's one of the, like, for instance, one of the officers said to me, one of the sergeants said, oh, well, we're scared of these Bill C-51 protesters merging with you guys and having us having a riot, and suggesting the Bill C-51 guys were anarchists. You know, and again, I just right away I think about this Bill C-51 crap, and again, the militarization, if you have it, of now Canadian police on a passive, the most passive group there is in Canada.
Should be, yeah.
And the culture. And I don't know what the reasoning is behind it. I don't know what the funding is behind it. All I know is I want to dig into it. I want to find out how much was spent by the city to actually try to stop Cannabis Day, and flawed and failed miserably, other than they arrested 4 people and thousands, I don't know how many, I'm going to get the numbers because I just got back from Victoria. It's now 8 o'clock at night. And I'm just going to keep banging these interviews off and getting this information out from the people who are on the front lines. Know one thing, these same people are talking in the background behind the cameras and off of social media and away from our cell phones. And we're getting ready because you know what? You crossed the red line, VPD. I really hope you issue an apology to the people that were involved there and to the civilians and give us a proper place with proper notice. And don't try to stop the people of BC. Shame on the city of Vancouver for doing what they did. Shame on the city of Vancouver, or seriously, shame on the VPD. Whoever the officer was that chose to use mace, shame on you. The other officers all knew to use their muscles, and you needed to use mace. You were so threatened by a passive crowd because what, they were yelling? You took training for that. Question is, did you cross the line when you used mace? You're going to say you felt you were threatened. You know, I'd say we got videotape that doesn't suggest you were threatened at all, but again, people are just going to say I'm the cannabis activist that's defending it, and that's not the case. I'm actually saying there's a constitutional right to assemble, and that's what we were doing. And it's a peaceful assembly. And sure, different people are there protesting different issues the federal government's fucked up on. It's our national holiday. And I'm going to keep ranting and raving and talking about this and talking with the leaders. And we've already had each other on speed dial talking about how do we deal with this. Though, you know, I find it funny. There's been some chatter on social media saying, oh, well, BC just, you know, ain't used to dealing with it. It's like we deal with this in every other province. You know what? Yeah, we are. We dealt with it years ago. It's just now there's a new monopoly going on, guys. And just like if they're going to do this here, you don't think they're going to do it in Toronto next? Come on, let's get this together. We need to stand, we need to unite, and we need to stop this monopoly. Because believe me, somebody funded that police department today. I know we don't have it in our city funds. I can't prove it right now. I don't have the numbers. But I know that it's not normal to put that many officers out for a cannabis event and then block off the back and potentially incite a riot in downtown Vancouver on our national holiday. Like, once again, shame on Vancouver. Gentlemen, tell us a bit about where, let's just change the topic here. Where can they find Budzilla? Some of the stuff that you were down there to promote yourself and to promote some of the stuff that you do. And that was it. And here you find yourself getting pepper sprayed.
Okay, so first question, we're located at 2267 Kingsway. That's at the corner of Nanaimo and Kingsway. To reiterate actually something that you touched base on earlier on, activist is a big word. It carries a responsibility. For us, we're backed up by patients, right? And you see people like Neil getting manhandled. You know, he's a little bit older. You see a lot of people that we helped there that were really scared, traumatized and stuff like that. And that's not what we were there for. We never intended any violence. That's not, you know, we have a very long record of being passive. And things escalated too quickly. And really what we need to do is maybe look at our tactics and our approach, well, because when they were coming up, there's like a full wall of cops, right? And it's like, oh, the army's marching in, right? And so everybody, it's not like we had an army, but everybody mobilized, got to their feet, because multiple people, including me, were screaming camera, right? And it got really intense really fast, and they just really tackled Neil and got down way too harsh on him. And
just to release him.
Just to release him.
Again, this is where we look at, was it worth what could have gotten very ugly? Yeah. If more people had been on scene, if more people had known what to do, you know, I mean, things could have got a lot worse. And again, no matter what the case is, the fact that the city of Vancouver, after you talk about helping patients by regulating dispensaries through the CMACD, you turn around and you crack us on the freaking head on our national holiday and our right to assemble on what its roots is based in, being a cannabis or a medical day, where medical cannabis could be celebrated because 420 is about legalization. So exactly. Those that don't understand the protest, look up your history and know what's going on. Exactly. And the medical marijuana laws are clearly flawed when they're unconstitutional by the Supreme Court of Canada. Now to bring this stuff to the ground and start stomping on what's coming up to be an election issue, basically, it's coming into an election. And now you're trying to split the voice. I don't know why. I've said this to everybody for years. When they're done screwing with the medical patients in our gardens, they're going to start to come after the bigger issue and split up the voice. Yep. 420, they've seen the power of the voice. This time, again, I call it out on this show. Leaders, come out and lead at the next event. Absolutely. Show up in the freaking morning and lead your troops. You don't have to carry stuff in. Come and show up. It's a goddamn assembly. And it's your right to assemble under Charter 2 of the, or under Section 2 of the Charter. Talk to your attorney. Do what you need to, but show up. And get your troops to show up. That's the thing. We shouldn't have to have any arrests. We shouldn't have to have anybody do hug power because there just wasn't enough people at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. And what time did you get it?
It's a bit hazy. I got a lot of pepper spray in my brain still.
Yeah,
it's kind of fuzzy in there.
I think it's after 11:30 that this went down because I was already gone. So when this went down, again, we got to look at this from that perspective. That if there was more people like there was at 1 o'clock, they sure as hell wouldn't have tried that. So on that note, this is Jason Wilcox. We got more to come. And once again, you guys did a great job showing what hug power is and putting the act back into activism. You know, you have to be a leader. You have to lead by example. You know, so again, you're right. That word activist comes with action, not just talk.
Exactly.
On that note, this is Jason Wilcox, and we'll see you in the next segue. Cheers.